All right, golfers out there, you're lying if you're going to tell me that you've never had this dream. I know we've all had this opportunity. We put together a round of golf. We're shooting low. We're consistent on every shot. We miss a few, but we're consistent. We're making putts. And then that crazy dream comes in your head. And you go, okay, I'm 30 years old. I got 20 years to really get this perfected. And then we're talking senior tour. Well, we've all had that crazy dream. I don't care how old you are. If you're a golfer, you understand it. You get it. Well, my buddy we have on the couch today, Nick Sherburne, he took that dream, that story, and he inspired us average golfers to want to do better. Nick built a series of stores, 150 stores, club champion stores around the world, grossing over $200 million. And he built it off passion of guys like us that just want to be a little better. It's an exciting story, an exciting journey. And I'm so happy to have Nick on the couch today. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm ready to go.
Boy, you are. So let me tell you, you probably talk a lot of golf. You've been in business for how many years now?
Well, 26 since I was 17.
26 years. Well, how can that be? You look like you're like 30 years old.
I'm 42, but this journey started when I was a 17-year-old kid, and here we are. So we're going to get into that, I guess.
Yes, we're going to go back to the start because, so many people that watch our show, they're young entrepreneurs, and so many of them play golf because I get a lot of reactions because I got golf clubs behind me. It's a passion of mine. I talk dogs, golf, and cars. Anytime I can, get off course and talk about these fun passions of mine, I'll do it. And golf is one. So I'm really thrilled to have you on the couch and to be talking to you. You're coming to us from Chicago, so you're actually not on the couch, but we're going to act like you're on the couch.
Yeah, I'm in the western suburbs of Chicago, Willowbrook, where this whole thing started. We're still in the same spot, our headquarters that started this thing, 98. So
how old were you when you opened your first store?
Well, that was when I opened the first actual storefront. Let's see, that would have been 2000, so I would have been 18 or 19, one of the two.
18 or 19 years old.
Yeah.
No, that's seriously impressive. All right, because a lot of guys go, and I'm a parent, and I'm going, boys, you're going to go to college, you're going to finish college, you're going to do that thing, right? At what point in your young Nick growing up, did you figure this thing out and you say, listen, golf is going to be my career?
Well, let me take you back a little bit. So I grew up more in central Illinois and more of a farm community, town of 5,000 people. And interesting enough, my dad didn't go to college. So he had to take care of his mom, and so he went straight to the workforce. And so later in life, he decided that was a mistake, and he went back to college, and he graduated college when I graduated 8th grade. We had dueling graduation parties.
I love it.
And he became a financial advisor. Total switch. From a third shift printer to a financial advisor. So he moved me and my mom up to Chicago where he was going to sell mutual funds. And right before that, I had just gotten bit by the golf bug. Nobody in my family really golfed. My grandfather a little. And so I had to kind of figure this whole thing out. And when we moved to Chicago, my parents were very supportive. But that being said, they didn't really have the money for it, and they didn't really know what they were doing with it. And so, we did the normal thing, ask around. And the first thing somebody told us is like, why don't you go get him a job at Cog Hill, which is right down the street from where we moved.
Oh, my gosh. Well, what a golf course.
That's what Western was, yeah, and Tigers won there and all kinds of stuff. And so, sure enough, if you get a job there, they let you hit balls, they let you play, they let you do all that. So now I can make money, I can play and do that. So
wait a minute, Nick, because you're going to make a lot of guys mad. You just got to go, first job, you just step onto Cog Hill. Me, when I was that age. I'm strapping my clubs on my back. I'm going to the local municipal golf course. It was like hitting off concrete. I mean, what an opportunity. And did you realize where you were playing and working?
No, not technically. And I got there's a lot of those moments for me in life where I didn't realize what was going on. If you get to know me, I'm a super focused person, and sometimes the blinders are on. But I basically told him, I'll do whatever you need. So, I mean, I worked backdrop on Sunday mornings. I picked up balls. Whatever you wanted, I was at your disposal. I would do every job that nobody else wanted to do. I didn't care as long as I got to play golf, hit balls. But one of the coolest perks, and I did not know this, was that they had, they were going to have the PGA Tour tournament, and that I was going to get to work it that first summer. And so that's what opened my eyes, is that tour comes to town. And, as every high school player, especially during that time, you want to be the next Tiger Woods. You want to be the next PGA Tour player. And that's what I thought. I wanted to go play in college. I wanted to go do all this. And I was nowhere near good enough yet. But I go, okay, I got a year or two. Let's see if I can figure this out. And so, as I watched these players that week, they were going back and forth these bands lined up on the range. And I asked my boss, who was the pro, what are they doing? And he goes, well, they're tweaking to hit this or hit that, or not hit this or hit that. And I said, well, I've been working here for a couple months, and I've seen some club fittings, but I've never seen anything to that in depth. And, me and him are still friends to this day, and we have good laughs, because he changed my life with the comments he made next. He goes, well, most people don't want to spend the money, or they're not good enough, and it just doesn't really make this sense for the average golfer. And it didn't sit right with me that day. Not because I was thinking about other people, to be completely honest with you at that point. I was thinking about myself. I was like, well, I want to play the next level. I want to figure this out. So I bugged him, being me. I bugged him like, hey, I'm a big guy. How do I do this? Finally, he goes, you know what? There's a guy that plays here on Sunday morning. He's got a permanent tee time at Dubs, which is where they played a tournament. And he goes, I'm going to introduce you. He does this as a hobby. And so, sure enough, he introduced me to this gentleman, Everett Lockenvitz, retired banker. I asked him to show me how to extend my clubs and put new grips on them. And that simple ask turned into a mentorship out of his garage. And that was the starting point.
So many people, they are scared to ask. They have a dream, they have an idea, and mentorships are everything. To be able to talk to somebody that's been down that path, and as you just explained, that changed your life.
Well, I'll tell you something, too, about that story that's interesting that'll never happen in today's age. So I go over to his house that time, and, my parents dropped me off, and maybe I drove myself. I don't remember. But I went and I did this, and I went back. Didn't think anything of it. I thought that was going to be it. I learned how to do it, that part, and then, okay, I'm going to go play golf again. Well, him and his wife don't have any kids, and so he thought he's like, you seemed really into it that day, and you seemed really like you were good with your hands and all that. So he called the high school, because he knew where I played high school, got my phone number, and called my house and asked if I wanted to come over and he would teach me more stuff. That would never happen today. I don't think a high school would give out your number and all that. And thank God he did. And I ended up going over there, and he's like, hey, listen, I've been kind of thinking, I'm a little bored. He retired a little younger. And he's like, I'm a little bored. And he's like, what if we turn this into a little business around COG and some of the local courses, and we do repair work and we do this, and you help me? I'll pay you. I'm like, perfect. Let's do this. So that started like that until 2000. We worked together. I graduated high school. He goes, what do you think about opening a storefront? I'm like, I love that idea. He goes, listen, I have a gentleman that if I do his taxes for him, he will let us have this space for free. I said, perfect. So my parents said, well, wait, hold on. My dad specifically, I made a mistake when I was younger. You need to go to school. And I said, well, what if I go to college at night and I do this during the day? And so that's the journey I set out on. And we opened a storefront, and we called it EJL Custom Golf, which was his initials. And me and him took on this, and I went to University of Illinois, Chicago at night. And it took me about 5 years to get my marketing degree, but I got it. And we kept just growing the business.
Nick, I mean, that opportunity is priceless. And the interesting thing is when it started, you had no idea. You were just you loved golf. And here was a
Yep.
guy willing to mentor you. And so, when you reflect back on that, even when you first had that offer, let's open a storefront. I mean, did it really surprise you? Were you thinking, "Oh, this happens every day"? Because it doesn't.
No. This was a big surprise. And listen, it was one of those like, I was, by this point, after whatever it was, a year and a half or so of working with him in his garage and doing this, like to me, I had already fallen in love with this. I had seen what I needed to see to know that this was the future. This is what golfers needed. And that the golf community had been sold product, and that's fine, but it really wasn't product that was helping them maximize their game. And so to me, I saw this as an opportunity not only for myself to get better at golf, but show others that they probably should do this. And so if he was willing to take a chance and help me do this, I was like, I'm on board to do this. And so we did that through college. I graduated college in '05. And I went to him and I said, listen, I want to take this business over. I'm in love with this. And he goes, I was hoping you were going to say that because obviously I'm not going to do this forever. And he doesn't have any kids and stuff. And so we worked out a deal. We worked out a deal where, and we wrote it all up, where he'll take home my salary for the next 5 years. And I turn over 20% of the business every year. Because at that point, he had pretty much put all the money in at that point. And so that's what we did. And so, another 5 years of, I say eat saltines and ramen, but I'll be honest with you, I would do it 3 times over if I had it again because I didn't think anything of it. Everybody asked me, they're like, Nick, what made you take those risks? I didn't even see it as a risk. I loved what I did and I loved it. The lifestyle was fine for me. I didn't need anything. I got my golf and I loved what I did. So didn't matter to me.
That's a testament to the passion and loving what you do and how important that is, in life.
And we had an opportunity. '07 happened, and I think we all know we had a little recession there. And we had a buddy that had a shop up in the North Shore of Chicago. And we had he unfortunately had a tough time during that. And we had an opportunity to buy that from the bank. And we were able to buy that from the bank for $15,000, believe it or not. And so store number 2 came up. And so now we had 2 stores. And, now I'm sitting there going, wow, me and Everett are sitting there going, man, we went from 1 store to 2 stores. We thought that was a big deal, right? And me, especially being a young guy, really big deal.
Okay, let me interrupt you real quick because I got a question because when the Golf Pro told you, this really isn't for civilians. This is golf club fitting is for pros. People don't want to pay for it. Although what he didn't understand, people will give anything. They'll give their right arm if they can shoot scratch, believe me. So you tapped into something that drives everybody. Deep inside, they just want that consistency, right? They want the dream. And you found that. But did people understand it when you first started?
No.
Did they go, okay, what did they tell you? Was it too expensive? Or did they go, we're in. If you can help me gain yardage and consistency.
Part of what still gets me up and gets me excited and gets me into this office every day without even thinking twice is the fact that I'm still educating people on this. And, I'm a big why guy. I want to know the why behind things. So I always try to lead with that when we build this business is I love being able to get a customer in there and, they'll say, they're defensive or they're whatever. This is too much money for me. I'm not good enough for this. That is what they've thought because they've been told that. And I just tell them, I'm like, well, okay, but let me bring you in. You don't have to buy anything today. Let me show you. And let me then explain the why behind it. And, you've been through it, Tommy. When you go through it, and you start seeing how the numbers change based on all this, and it doesn't matter whether you're a 36 handicap or a scratch golfer, it changes. Your body, the equipment changes the way you swing it, how fast, how consistent, everything. And so I always say the ball doesn't know your handicap. So you only know your handicap. So
you're exactly right.
we slowly made believers, and we're still doing it. I mean, it's funny if you were to go back and look 10 years ago, and there was they do it every year. National Golf Foundation, Data Tech, all these the last golfers. Do you plan to get fitted? It was like under 20% 10 years ago. It's now at 80%.
Wow. I mean, congratulations, because
Yeah.
that's a testament to what you've created. Now, when you started this, you did your homework. Was there anybody in the country besides pros or individuals fitting clubs? Was there any businesses that were trying to scale?
No, there was. There's a gentleman that's still been a good friend of mine. And even though we're competitors, we are very friendly because we grew up in the industry together. Mark Timms, who started a company called Hot Sticks and then Cool Clubs. He's a little older than me. He just sold Cool Clubs to another group called Worldwide Golf, but he's still involved in it. He was doing it. He did a good job, and he never got it to, he always talked, he's like, Nick, I'm not quite sure how you scaled it like you did, but he did an awesome job. And there was a couple other ones, but the scaling part was always the part that was the difficult part of what we did. And I haven't even got to that part of the story.
No, and I'm excited to go down that path, but I'm still just making sure that we get our heads wrapped around going 1-2 stores, the dream, and actually getting people to buy into this dream. I know I love it, you love it, but does everybody love it? And you found out they do. Just a real quick note for everyone. So I shot a TV show called The Art of Golf Club Fitting, and that's how Nick and I first met on the TV show. And I went through the process. And I'm a guy, I've played all my life golf since I was 6 years old. And I never had been fitted. It was crazy. I just got off-the-shelf clubs. And I was a golfer. I'm a golfer. And then I do this TV show, and it was life-changing. And I went, what the hell was I thinking all these years? And I play with a lot of actual pros. And I've seen where they go get fitted, right? And they're tweaking their clubs at the tour, because I'm playing in some of the pro-ams. And I don't know what was going through my head. But I went and went through your process, and I shaved strokes. I hit the ball so much better, and I'm going, and all of a sudden it starts affecting you mentally. You're going, we have something here. So,
no, and that's what happens is when people get in there and you start seeing those, like, as the fitter's changing different things, whether it's the head, the shaft, the swing weight, which is the weight of the golf, balance of the golf club, the grip, whatever. And you start seeing how your numbers change, whether you're hitting it farther, straighter, whatever it is, hopefully. That's when the light bulb goes on, and for folks. And usually what we find is when, once you get to that point, you become a customer for life. It's just getting them in and showing them that. And it's explaining it to them. So, like, one thing before I even explain it to them, we're big enough now, we hire groups to go out and learn about golfers, right? And so we have third parties that go out and teach us about how golfers think and what they think. And we talk to our clients, but we also talk to not our clients. And when we ask not our clients, like, why do you buy golf equipment? Still second from the bottom, in fact, I just got the review last month, is to improve my game. That boggles my mind. A club that is price, brand, what the best player I know or at my club plays, PG, what the players on TV, all that stuff comes before, I buy it to improve my game, which, so we still have a long way to go.
if I could get out there with a baseball bat and play better, I would play it with a baseball bat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's still amazing to me that people do that, because that's all we do is, that's our whole thing. We don't care about brand. We carry every brand. We carry every price. But the reality is we approach it from the point of helping.
So that's what's special, Nick. Really, truly special. You have no alliance to any particular manufacturer. You have all the manufacturers, and it's what's best for you. That's the difference. You're focused on customer.
And that was the struggle building this business up over the years. That originally the vendors didn't like us because of that, because they controlled all the other salespeople at these stores through spiffs or whatever, better margins and all that. And again, I don't want to paint that bad. It's just that's the way the world is and the way the world works. Every industry's like that. And then comes along me where I'm saying, no. Yes, I want better margins. And yes, I want that, but I want to use that for marketing and stuff like that. My guys, I'll compensate them to do the right job, but I want them focused on making my golfers better, because if they make golfers better, that's how I'm going to grow this business.
No question. You know, I talk a lot about, when I do keynotes and things, a lot about not having customers, but having fans. When you can get people to be fans and care about you because you care about them, you own them for life, and you're a walking testament to that.
Yeah. It's really, you know, we've gotten bigger and you know, there's opinions everywhere, but the reality of it is that we've never changed our mantra here, and it's better fit lower scores. I mean, if you can't lower it, you should not buy a golf club unless it's going to help you lower the scores. But I also tell people, some people will go, well, Nick, is 10 yards worth it? Well, I think it is, because that's 15 feet closer to the hole on average. And so it can be the difference between a makeable birdie putt or a challenging two putt. And when you start putting it in that kind of sense, golfers start to understand, because that's how, the best players in the world think about golf equipment. They don't think about brands either. They just get paid by the brands, right? They think about, okay, what is this going to help me do? This shot shape, that shot shape, land over a bunker, not land, whatever it is. And that's how we approach it too, is let's build a bag not based off a bunch of other stuff. Let's build a bag based off what you do on the golf course and what's going to help you score the best.
Which is exceptional thinking.
It's also about setting up the bag properly with the proper tools in there.
Yeah, so let me ask you, that was really a good point there, because you said the golfers care about the score, getting a little bit closer, controlling the ball, but do their clubs actually, are they playing that brand, really? Once they get in there and start tweaking it, is it really the same club that I can buy off the shelf?
No, typically not. The difference between what we do and what you buy off the shelf. And I say, listen,
not you, but I mean the pros, when we're talking about the pros.
Yeah, well, yes and no. So Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, yeah, they have stuff that's built for them. They are the best in the world. So it doesn't say they're always like that, but Scotty Scheffler had his own QI10. He didn't have the one you could buy off the shelf. In fact, I had a QI10 first. I stole one out of the tour van. I said, I'm taking that, and it actually was it was an awesome driver. But they should have sold that on the market, to be honest with you. It was awesome. But it doesn't always work that way. But sometimes, the better players, if they don't like something, they will go out of their way to make them something. Because, again, that's not necessarily because they care. They just want to make sure it gets shown on TV on Saturday and Sunday when you're watching. They can go make it. Now, if you're a lesser name on the PGA Tour, you're gonna do stuff like we do, which is take the existing equipment, tweak it, mold it, do what you got to do to get it to work properly. So just depends.
Well, one of the cool moments I was shooting, and I think it was part of the TV show, or a promotion we were doing at a Club Champions, and I got to do a bit with Jordan Spieth, and Jordan was raving about this facility and how cool it was for the civilians to have an opportunity to get stuff tweaked like he does as a pro.
Well, exactly. So when they go out, let's say Jordan, will use him an example. He's still a great friend of us. We just don't have a sponsorship with him. But a guy like him, when Titleist brings out something new, they're going to build him, whatever it is, 30, 50, 6-iron to sit there and hit and practice and see what he likes, right? The average person doesn't have that ability to do that. So that's what I tried to create, was that with our adapter system that allows all the different heads and different shafts to go on. So you're not just handcuffed to what that manufacturer offers. And then plus, offer in different weights, different lies, different lofts, different everything. So it really was taking that PGA Tour, what I'd seen years ago and saw, after that, paying attention, and going, why doesn't the average golfer get a shot at that? It just doesn't make any sense. And I use this. My dad actually helped me with this as I was growing the business, and it was probably around that time we got that second, we're growing this business, and he's trying to figure out what I'm doing a little bit too. Because remember, I told you they weren't golfers. Now my dad's turned into a little bit of a golfer, but he goes, I'm starting to get it. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, think about me. He goes, I play golf. I play a 9-hole Saturday league. He goes, so that's 3 hours. And then, I probably go hit balls one night a week because they live a block away from the golf course. He goes, okay, 4 hours. But he goes, an average golfer, if they play once a week, it's 5 hours, minimum. He goes, what else do you do for 5 hours a week? He goes, eat, sleep, work. We'll put family in there. Now maybe some people look at their phone. But the point is golf is a top 5, 6, 7 thing in your life, time consumption-wise. And yet, so we're spending a lot of time at this sport, and then we want to argue over, a couple $100 extra on a custom fit club. And it's pennies. And I'll never forget that. And I use it till today. It's been 18 years now or whatever it's been. He told me that. But it was a powerful moment where he's like, I wouldn't back down with some of these people that say, hey, that's too much money. I would remind them, because I'm in the field of money management now. He goes, I would remind them, because I watch them spend their money on a lot stupider stuff, that this is probably a better investment for their money based on the time they spend with it.
All right, we're gonna talk a little bit about the money thing too, but before that, I got to touch on something, please. I wish you wouldn't have brought that up. So if you'll recant, we don't spend a fifth of our life on the golf course and with golf, because if my wife hears that, she's gonna go, I told you you're spending too much dadgum time playing golf. So don't let your wives hear this show, whatever you do. I'm kidding. But so let's talk real quick. We got a little more time left, but I want to talk about that scaling, and when you made that big jump, how scary was it? Did you feel the risk? And then you just said something which is interesting, which I want to touch on. You become a money manager, right? You're now a banker. Did you completely lose touch with golf?
Yeah, so let's go to 2009. Sunday was my only day I had free, so I usually played golf with customers. It was great. I got invited to the best clubs in Chicago. And one Sunday, I got invited to Olympia Fields, and which is, they've had U.S. Opens, USAMs, PGA Tour tournaments. So it's a real treat. And I had 2 customers, and they said, hey, I'm going to bring a gentleman. He's about 40 years old, and he played golf at Marquette. And he's a scratch golfer, and he's never had custom fit clubs, and we haven't been able to convince him. And he needs it. And I said, okay. So we get out on the golf course, and sure enough, the first tee shot rips it right down the middle, but it's ballooning. And I as we're walking with our caddies, I said, Joe, his name was Joe. His name's Joe Lee. Still works with me, so we'll get to that story. But I go, that you see that ball, how it ballooned up in the air? He goes, yeah. I go, you're giving up 20 yards at least, maybe more. He goes, no way. And I said, yes, way. And I go, I'll prove it to you. You just got to come into the shop. Well, there was a lot of those moments. Like he had a forward press on his putter, and he's like jamming putts. Now, he's a good player, so he learns how to play it. But it's not natural. And so I'm teaching him all this stuff as we go through. And afterwards, we have a great round of golf, and I get his number like I do, and I said, I'm going to bug you until you come in. And so I did my thing. I bugged him until he came in, and he ends up buying the clubs. He sees it, and he goes out and plays, and he calls me. We follow up about a month later, and he goes, Nick, I cannot believe I waited all this time to do this. He goes, it's changed my game unbelievably. And he goes, there must be thousands of people like me who can afford this, that love golf, that have no reason not to, and yet have never been told like you told me to just do it.
Yes.
And
I was one of them, Nick.
Yeah. And he goes, what are you going to do? I go, well, listen, next year I take over 100% of this business. Everett's probably going to retire off to South Carolina. And I go, I'm like 26 years old this time, or 25, I can't remember. I go, I don't know, I'm going to keep doing what I do. And he goes, would you mind? I'm kind of in between things. Some of his brothers had sold their software business. I said, listen, I'll listen to anything. So we courted each other for about 9 months, and he taught me a lot of stuff about building a business plan and about stuff like that. And, I took it, I had a lot of opinions from people like, don't do this or do this, do that. I took a leap of faith. We came up with a way to raise money between my customers, his friends, divide the pie. And, people were like, well, do you really want to give up some of that? And I said, well, I think I do. I think I'm too young. And I think I can recognize that. And I think, my ego's not too big. And I think I have a lot to learn. And I think at the long run of this, I will be happy that I listened to some other folks. So we did the deal, and we raised the money, and we renamed it Club Champion Golf, me and Joe Lee. That was the bit. And so 2010, Everett retired. He went to South Carolina, and me and Joe started off with our 2 stores. And we had raised $3.5 million between his clients and my customers. And the idea was we had built a business plan to open 20 or 30 stores nationwide, and go from there. And then, that was the business plan.
Let me ask you a question. Is Everett still alive today?
Everett actually is still alive today. He's 89.
Do you get 89. The chance to talk to him and reminisce and give him a hug? Thank you.
Yeah, every once in a while. Yep. Mm-hmm. And he goes into our Hilton Head store.
Yeah, so he has to be extremely proud.
Yeah, I think he is. No, I know he is, but yeah, it's. I don't think just like me, we are all like, people go, Nick, did you ever think? No, never thought. I never thought about any of that. Like, even when me and Joe went into that, now Joe probably had a different thought because he had been there, but he had scaled the business already, but I hadn't. And so for me, I'm a person that likes change. I'm a person that likes building things. I'm not afraid to fail because I have an old saying. I didn't grow up in a trailer, but we didn't grow up rich either. So we grew up very just moderate. And so I always have this saying I tell people, now it's an exaggeration, but live in a trailer, born in a trailer, die in a trailer. My point is that I don't really, like, the money part of it is fine. It's great. It's fun. We all like to earn money. But the reality of it is I just like to wake up and build stuff. Like, if I don't go to work, my wife will tell you, I'm in my barn building stuff. Like, that's just how I'm built.
I love it. You've been through all this, and you've experienced amazing success, truly. It's something you're passionate about and you love, which is key here. What's the gift you can give to the next 18-year-old?
Well, first of all, find something you love. Find something you love to do, and then you go after it. And you don't get scared. Like, to me, it's like I tell people, I go, like, I have a nephew right now, and I said, he wanted to start something a little small, and he's like, well, what if it fails? I said, who cares? He goes, what do you mean? I said, who cares? He's like, well, I'll lose all my money. Do you really have any money now? He's like, well, I have very little. And I'm like, well, either way. I'm like, what are we really talking here? Like, everybody tries to be so perfect sometimes, and it's like,
that's the thing.
Like that. Yeah. It's okay. Failure sometimes can be your greatest learning. And trust me, I had dark days of Club Champion or EJL, whichever one you want to call it. I've had days where I doubted it, and I've had days where I thought it would be, the greatest thing ever. It's just, those are how businesses are. And, I've always just had, I always say the North Star for me is, are we doing the right thing? And are providing the right service? And as long as we do those things, and the business will be okay. You're going to have sometimes a piss off, okay? Treat them, then fix it. You're going to have a day where an employee, does something. It's okay. Fix it. It's
all right,
okay.
Nick, so here's something important, because how many employees do you have?
Now we have 500 employees.
And so your stores are all company owned?
What's that?
They're all company owned?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right,
company owned.
500 employees. Keeping your philosophy with one store is one thing. You have 150 stores worldwide. How do you keep the integrity of your message, your purpose? How do you keep that with 500 employees?
Well, so it's not easy. And this is where I think some businesses kind of get it lost a little bit. Me and my executive staff are in it to win it. We're here every day, or wherever we need to be. We're in work. Yes, and we are there to support our staff. I have I'm not a military guy, but I have a military mantra of first one in, last one out, carry out the debt. So everybody in the company knows that. They know that I'm in it just as much as they're in it, and I will never ask them to do something I won't do. And I will push them as hard as I will push myself. But that being said, I will also be the one to reward them. I'm a work hard, play hard leader, and I want all my leaders like that. And so we are big culture here. And, so for me, you know, I think some companies miss the mark on on culture. And so for me, culture is one of the most important things about the business. And so I can actually go back. Like, I took a couple of years where I wasn't as involved in the business right after COVID because we had a new ownership group and I had young kids and I thought I wanted to kind of maybe try something different. Didn't work. And so when I came back into it, there was a little bit of a culture loss. And so the first thing I did was not just bark orders and do all this. I went and changed the culture. I created logos that were different, that were like specific for like these groups. Tried to make them like teams and, worked with them hand to hand, got down in the mud with them. And so, and we rebuilt that culture and it's very strong again.
Nick, I love that because I believe culture is everything. If you don't have that, strong culture, you're going to get lost because people are going to go do their own thing and screw your business up, right? And culture helps individuals as well, helps them be better people and helps them like themselves more, right? So it's so good, and I'm so proud of what you're doing. You're changing lives of not only your employees and your staff, but you're changing, wannabe golf pros like me, right? That Sunday golf pro that goes, I'm going to make it to the tour one day. You're giving us a little bit of hope, and we love that. Now, I have a passion, and one of my passions are dogs. We do a lot of dog rescue. So real quick, tell me about your puppy dogs. You got to have puppy dogs at home. You got a farm.
Yeah, we have a, well, I guess she'll be a year old in October, but we have a Burmese, Burma Doodle, I guess they call him.
Oh my gosh.
Doodle. I still get the name of it wrong. My wife says a way of Burma Doodle or something.
That's funny.
But he's a great dog and she loves me, so that's good. But yeah, she's huge.
So you have kids and, I believe and I preach, if you got kids, you have to have a puppy dog. So what do you see? How do you see that interaction?
I have dogs, chickens, goats, turkeys.
I mean, that has to be a special place for your kids to grow up.
Oh, it's fun. Listen, that's how I got to grow up in that environment. It taught me a lot about responsibility. It taught me a lot about respect. It taught me a lot about a lot of things. And, for me, I love getting home and going, hey, Charlie, that's my 9-year-old. Did you get the eggs today? Did you go out and get the eggs today?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
How special is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, for them to be able to get their feet in the dirt. And I think mentally, with all the craziness we have to deal with social media and phones and people living on them and to be able to have a farm and get them out with the chickens, it's priceless. Now, I know about doodles, and so let me find it here. I've got a hip and to the rescue, hip and joint, because you're going to have to start giving these dogs these. So I'm going to send you some of our hip and joint supplements so you'll keep that puppy dog of yours healthy, because when you get these big dogs and the doodles, they bounce all over the place, those crazy dogs. So you're going to need this. So I'm going to send you some out. And we got to get out and tee it up and hit the pill around. And you tell me, Tommy, get your butt back in here. We got to get you fitted again. But I don't think so. I mean, I tell you, those clubs, I love them. There's nothing like them. I don't know. I'd be scared to go in and get fit again because you got me hitting the ball so well.
Well, and that's the beauty of what we do. It's like you would come back in. Let's say we play or whatever. You get to the point where you're like, it's been 5 years. It's time to take a look. Numbers are numbers, and that's what I love to explain to golfers. There is just the best there can be. And so we may get you in there and go, you know what? There's no better. Just keep playing.
Yeah. Or here's a little tweak.
Yeah, or here's a little tweak or whatever it is. I mean, once we start teaching you the math behind it or the science behind it, people are like, okay, I get it now. And, then it's like, well, you may buy something just to buy something, but most people I tell not to unless it's going to help you play better.
Nick Sherburne, you're my hero, and you're so many Sunday golfers' heroes out there. You built a company, you built a culture, and you're helping us shave strokes off our golf game. That is the best for you. I appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Tommy. It's been great.